Hi, welcome to the Getting Started series from FamilySearch. This class is called Finding Your Ancestors and Others' Family Trees. My name is Brian Edwards. I'm a Portfolio Director for FamilySearch International. So today we're going to talk about two different types of family trees, collaborative family trees and personal family trees. We'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each one of those types and how they work. Then we're going to do some examples where we search through two of these, one collaborative family tree and one personal family tree, to look for ancestors. So let's talk about some of the key points of these. First of all, collaborative family trees. In a collaborative family tree, people are working together on deceased individuals, and it is one big family tree for the entire world. Now, by contrast, personal family trees, you control what's in your family tree. Each person has their own family tree, and in fact, on many sites, you may have multiple family trees. But that's the key difference, is that collaborative family trees, the entire world works together. In personal tree, you work by yourself or with a few people you invite to your family tree. So what are some of the pros of a collaborative family tree? Well, the key thing is that because everyone's working together, you benefit from what others know and do. They may have information, photos, stories, records, people they know about in your family tree that you don't know about that they can add. And vice versa, you may add things that they don't know about. Because everyone's working together, it dramatically reduces the duplication of effort and information because you're not doing things over and over in multiple family trees. Now, it grows and gets better while you're away, and I just love the fact that I can be off, I can be asleep, I can be doing other things, and while I'm doing that, people are adding information, and it's getting better and richer and more accurate as time goes on. So what are some cons? Well, everyone's working together, so you get what everyone else adds to it, but if they make a mistake, you receive that too, because again, it's one large collaborative family tree for the world. And because of this, you have less control because everyone's working together. So let's talk about some key examples. Two key examples of collaborative family trees are FamilySearch.org and Wikitree.com. FamilySearch has about 1.2 billion names with 1.7 billion sources, and that's growing rapidly. Wikitree has about 25 million names in their collaborative family tree. So let's talk about family trees for a second from the personal side. In a personal family tree, some of the pros are that you control what's in your tree, you control who can see it and who can change it. So whether you want to keep it completely to yourself or share it with a few trusted people, you can do that. And because it's controlled by you, no one messes up your information or changes it or adds to it without your permission. Now, of course, the flip side of that is that no one's fixing our information as well because it's personal to you. And you have to do all the work to improve it and to extend it. Now, there are many examples of online personal family trees. Two of the big ones out there are Ancestry.com and MyHeritage.com, and there are many other great websites out there that have these. Now, there's one other type of personal family tree that we'll touch base on briefly, which is desktop software. Again, this is another type of personal family tree where you control what's in there. Many of these sync with other websites, but some of these examples of desktop software include Ancestral Quest, Family Tree Maker, Legacy Family Tree, Reunion, Roots Magic, and many, many other pieces of desktop software that you can purchase or download and use on your personal machine. So let's go through an example. We're going to search for an ancestor on FamilySearch.org. And again, this is a collaborative family tree. Well, it's being worked on by the entire world. So the process we're going to go through is we're going to search for a deceased ancestor. And that's really important to do because in this collaborative family tree, again, we're trying to protect living information. So living people are kept private to the people that add them. And so when you search, you're only going to find deceased ancestors. Now, once we've found an ancestor, we're going to go in and we're going to look at that person in more detail. We're going to look for information, look for sources, what we call historical documents, and those sorts of things. And that might be birth certificates, death certificates, census records, etc. We're going to look at some photos and stories and learn more about that person. So let's start on FamilySearch.org. Now, I've already gone in and I've created a free account. Everything on FamilySearch is free to use and access. So I've created this free account. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click on, I've logged in. I'm going to click on Family Tree. I'm going to click on Find. And once I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and type in my ancestors information I want to search for. In this case, I'm going to search for Morgan Bell Edwards. And he was born in Paragouna, Utah in 1885. So I'm going to search for that, and up pop several results that might be my ancestor. So I look through this and I can see Morgan Bell Edwards, Morgan Evan Edwards, and Joseph Morgan Edwards, and of course my ancestor in this case, because it's a reasonably rare name having Morgan Bell together. There's one match here in Paragouna, Utah, and indeed this is my person. I can recognize it by the birth information and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Morgan Bell Edwards. Pops a person card and I can see more information about him. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on, as I look at this family name actually, and this card, I can see his name, I can see information about him, I can see there are 56 sources, there are 28 memories, and by memories we mean photos and stories and documents and audio files. And so having seen this then, I'm going to click on person, I'm going to look at his details. So I've gotten this page right here, and I see information about Morgan Bell Edwards, and there's a little bit of a life sketch at the top, there's information about him. As we scroll down towards the bottom of this page, we find information about his family. Now on the left-hand side, we have Morgan Bell Edwards with his spouse, Margaret Owens, and we have their 10 children listed out here. And so we can see information about the family. On the right-hand side of this screen, we're going to see William as a child with his parents and his siblings. And so we can see that Morgan Bell Edwards was one of 9 children. His parents were William and Anne Elizabeth, and we see their family right here. So let's go ahead and look at the top up here. You see we have options for details, timeline, sources, collaborate, and memories. And so we're going to take a look at the timeline. So in the timeline then, I can see a map of where he lived and different places that he shows up in records or as shown in the family tree. And I can parse through this and I can see the timeline of his life laid out here. So I'm now going to take a look, and I'm going to jump from here into sources. Again, we see there are 56 sources about his life. And so we take a look at this page right here, and we see all these different sources. We see census records, we see marriage records, and various other things about his life. And it's interesting because all of this work that's going on, I counted through, and just on this page right here, 16 different people contributed information to this page, so I didn't have to do all the work. These are people that I'm related to somehow that have interest in my ancestor and their ancestor too, because it's, again, shared ancestry, but they've added information and I didn't have to do all the work here. And so we see all these names down here with these people involved and participating and adding and improving information. And just for a second, we're going to take a look at one of these sources here called United States World War I Draft Registration Cards. And so if we look at that, click on that information, we see some information. We see there's an image here. And if I click on the image, we can see his draft registration card as he registered for the draft for World War I. Now looking at that, I see information about his name. I see where he lived. I see when he was born, how old he was when he registered for the draft. I can see that his occupation was raising sheep. That he was both self-employed and worked for somebody who actually turned out to be his father-in-law. Margaret Edwards was his contact, and this person here, M. Owen Edwards, is her father. So he did that. It's interesting too because I think this is pretty cool. I look here and I can see that his height was listed as tall, his build was stout, his eyes were blue, and the color of his hair was bald. And in fact, when we look at the photos of him, we'll find out that yes, indeed, he was bald. So looking at memories here, and again, these are photos, stories, documents, audio files. We can see information about his life. We can click on them and see things. I love this photo here because he's riding a statue of a horse, but he's sure acting like it's real as he acts like it's being bucked around there on this horse. We can see a story about this, and people have added information here. And so that's some of the information we have here. Now, I would invite you, when you look for ancestors in this collaborative family tree, again, because it's shared with the world, people may have added information that you never knew about. You may see photos you've never seen before in your life. but you may also have information that they don't have. And so as you look at these ancestors, if you recognize that you've got a photo or a story or something neat about this person's life, I would encourage you to go ahead and upload a photo or upload a story yourself. So now having done this, let's switch over for a second now, and let's take a look at on Ancestry.com in personal family trees and see how this works. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to search for a deceased ancestor because living people are kept private. And again, once we find that person, we're going to look at information about the ancestor with photos and stories, sources, and other information about their lives. So come to Ancestry.com, and I've logged in here, and I have a paid account to be able to access this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a search. So I'm going to, again, put in the same name, the same information I searched for on FamilySearch. Here looking for Morgan Bell Edwards. Again, he's from Paragoula, Utah, and born in 1885. So as I do this search then, up come a bunch of records, but today we wanted to find his name in family trees. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go down here to the bottom where it says family trees. I'm going to click on that link right there. This is going to show me possible family trees. And you'll see here again that Morgan Bell Edwards, as we look at this, is actually found in 112 family trees. And for some reason, which I don't understand, there's another grouping of one family tree that also appears to be the exact same person. So Morgan Bell Edwards is out here in 113 family trees. So again, this is that same, lots of information, lots of control over these family trees, lots of duplication as well. And obviously these trees are going to have things, a lot of things that are similar and shared. They've gotten from each other or from their own research, but there's going to be some differences as well. So we'll look at some of that as we go through this. So I've gone ahead and I've clicked on that, and I'm seeing Morgan Bell Edwards here. And as I open it up and go through it to look for him again, I'm going to click on this where it says there's 112 family trees, and I'm going to hit View All. And so I find a whole bunch of trees here, and now we're back to 113 family trees in this list. But I want to kind of understand, and I want to figure out where should I look first. Now I'm going to actually skip the first few on here because some of these are actually my family trees. But we're going to go down and look through, and we're going to see information about these. And so as we go through this, let's just talk about what we're seeing in here. I'm going to go ahead and look down. Now you notice that here's a family tree, and there's 4,672 people in this family tree. But this particular one is actually private, so I have to contact the owner to get access to the information to be able to see that. So we're going to stick to the ones that are publicly available. I've scrolled down a little bit further, and as we look at these, this tree right here has 11,818 people in it. There are 4 records, there are 7 sources. The next one here has 39 people in it, 3 records, 27 sources. And don't be fooled by the number of people in a family tree. Sometimes there's a lot of people in the family tree because they've done a lot of research, sometimes because they pulled in information very quickly and rapidly. And so, having a small family tree doesn't necessarily mean the information is any less. And in some cases, they may have thought it through more. This last tree here has 18,669 people, 17 records, and 17 sources. So what's the source and what's a record? Well, when they talk about this, then they actually mean that the records are actually linked to records on Ancestry.com. And sources include those plus things that people have entered in with text. So they're really the same thing, but they split them out into 2 different categories to differentiate which ones are actually found and linked to records on Ancestry.com, and which ones may have come from other websites or may have been typed in by hand. So we're going to go ahead and look down. We're going to start, just for example, with this one right here, the middle one. Again, there's only 39 people, but we want to take a look at it because 3 records, 27 sources, that's a lot of sources. So let's take a look at this one right here for a second. And I click on this, and I'm looking at this, and the first thing I notice is that there's no photo. At least there's not one showing up in this little blue box right here. But I can look at this, I can dive in and look at the life story. And Ancestry's done a great job on this. I love these life stories here, where they basically pull from the family tree and put it into almost a storybook type format with maps and so forth. So they've done a great job on this. But we look in the gallery, and again, there's only 3 records here, 3 census records. And Again, there's no photos, no stories. So let's go back out to that search results. Let's look at the next one down. This one has, again, 18,000 people in the family tree, 17 records, 17 sources. Let's see what this one has for us. Okay, here we've opened it up, and the first thing I see is, yes, indeed, there's a photo right there, and so that gives me hope that there may be other photos out here that I can see and learn from. And so as we look through this tree then, see right here, these are the sources, and again, these sources in this top section are ones that are linked to records on Ancestry.com. So again, with that paid subscription, you can go ahead and see those sources, look through them, and learn about them. And then let's go ahead and look at the gallery. So I open up the gallery right here, and lo and behold, great. We've got some great photos. We've got some records and sources in here. We've got lots of information here we can sort through and learn about Morgan Bell Edwards and his life. So, and again, there's 113 trees out there with Morgan Bell Edwards in them. So it's a little hit and miss about finding this information, but there's some great information out in those trees. And I would encourage you to look for ones that have a lot of sources, because there's a good chance that if there's a lot of sources attached on an Ancestry family tree, that version may have more information around it. And indeed, in this case, it did. So let's summarize what we learned about today. Today, we learned about collaborative and personal family trees. We then went and we searched for a deceased ancestor in both the collaborative family tree on FamilySearch, as well as in personal family trees on Ancestry.com. And as we saw these, we looked at family information, timelines, sources, photos, and stories. And really the nice thing about this is that both these websites and many other websites out there have such great information about our ancestors that other people have been researching and putting together. And so it's a great way to kind of get in and understand a little bit about your family history, learn about some of your ancestors. Well, that's the presentation for today. I really appreciate your time and hope that you have a wonderful day.